Greetings, Missouri Mid-South Conference. I bring you greetings from outside on this beautiful spring day. As you can probably tell, I am here on the campus of Eden Theological Seminary for many reasons. One, because I have the honor of being in this space often since the conference office is here on the campus, but also I wanted to share this space with you in honor of Earth Day, which will be coming up on April 21st. In the United Church of Christ, our theme for Earth Day is Keep It in the Ground, with the understanding that how we treat creation and God's creation is connected to how we live our lives and what decisions we make about how we use the resources of God's creation, as we have been called to be God's helpers, those who tend the soil and care for the earth. It seems appropriate to me to not only be outside on this Earth Day, but also to be here at Eden, because who we are and how we understand keeping it in the ground and Earth Day is connected to our theological and spiritual foundation. Because as God created us, God called for us to live into God's image. I have to tell you that for me, a part of my honesty is naming that when we talk about keep it in the ground, we are talking, understandably, about the oil and about the chemicals and about the energy that we use, that we extract from the ground, and how we need to be careful in taking too much. Living in Houston, Texas, serving a church where many of the employees or members were employees of oil and gas companies. My own husband works for a chemical corporation. And so I want to name right off that life is not as simple or black and white as we might want in terms of our stewardship and faithfulness to keeping it in the ground. But here's what I know, that we all, whether we are oil corporations, whether we are students of theological education, whether we are ministers, we all are committed to understanding and living out, practicing how we indeed do keep the resources of our beloved community of God's creation in the ground and in the places where they should be. This week I hold in my spirit two natural disasters that perhaps are very much connected to this essence of Earth Day and keeping in the ground. One is the earthquakes in Ecuador, the devastation, the communities and the towns that have been completely decimated because of the earthquakes in Ecuador. Two, the second natural disaster is the flooding in my beloved Houston. To talk to my husband, to talk to my friends who live in Houston, to see pictures of one of our UCC churches, Christ Church in Cypress, Texas, that has been flooded. I believe that these two events, the earthquake in Ecuador, the floods in Houston, are a reflection of global warming and how they are connected, and how, as we have not practiced keeping it in the ground for many, many generations and centuries, this is a part of what we live with now. So the question that I would ask for you as members of churches, as ministers, is how are we truly, theologically called to keep the resources of God's creation in the ground? Again, it is not as easy as saying, bad oil company. That's important, and we must say that. But in the same breath, we should also say, the cell phone that I use, the technology that I have, the convenience of being able to fly, is all in our usage of perhaps not keeping in the ground. So what do we do? How do we move forward? How do we become aware of the resources that we are using, and how do we reinvest in the resources of the ground? Our own Shannondale camp is one of those places where I think that we are reinvesting in terms of the timber that is sold, but also the seedlings that are replanted for that land and those people and our land and our people in the Ozarks of Missouri. My friends, around you and around us, there are many opportunities to think about, to engage, to question our own usage, and to connect in our worship. How it is that we are and are not keeping it in the ground, and how the Holy One is calling us to recommit ourselves to being the helpers, the companions of God's beloved community in God's precious creation that we have been entrusted. So in the beauty of the birds singing, of the rain that is about to come, of the trees that are blooming, and of the theological and spiritual foundation from which we move and breathe and have our very being, may we indeed commit to keeping God's resources in the very place and creation from which God created. In the name of the Holy One, amen.